Well, welcome on Monday, June the 19th, to All Things Apostolic. We're going to have a great week. We've been talking about eschatology. We're going to continue to talk about that starting tomorrow some and Wednesday and Thursday. Big subject, really, really important subject. I mean, if people get off in eschatology, we often say all doctrines have consequences. And if you get off in that, there can be a lot of things that are consequential as a result. And not all of them good. Anyway, we're glad to have you with us today. We want to talk just a little bit today about what it means to have a life of substance. That's a really big subject. But I mean, think about, if you're a pastor, think about the young people in your church. If you're a parent, well, you can think about yourself. Well, as a pastor, you can think about yourself also, but think about the young people in your church and consider whether or not you and I are doing our part to create constructs that can give an apostolic young person, young adult, a chance to become everything they ought to become. Now, this is a big deal in my life, and it's a big deal in Dr. C's life. We're here together today because we're going to talk about this a little bit, and I hope you get what we're talking about. So one of the things that we do, we talk about this, the whole staff here talks about this, and in other venues, in the Worldwide Pentecostal Fellowship, and in Hope Corps, and in all of these places, we discuss what are we doing to provide infrastructure for our young people to have a way to get exposed to what it takes to have a productive, fruitful, gratifying future. So we work on this. This is really what Wilson University is the result of what I just said. And if you didn't get that, you can roll it back. But it's really important for we who are a little further down the road in life as adults to be able to provide the infrastructure for people up and coming. Now, when I was young, there wasn't much of this infrastructure. There was, like, if you wanted to be a preacher or if you wanted to know the Bible better, there was a very few Bible schools, 4 or 5 scattered across America, and you could go to one of them, which I did when I was 17 years old. And it was very helpful to me coming from a little church where I wouldn't have been exposed to knowing anything. It's helped me in life, not just preaching or ministry or something of this nature, but it's just helped me to know so many things about the Bible that I didn't know. Well, now it's a totally different world, and we are looking at how do we help our young people in a cutting-edge world for an apostolic young person to have opportunity for cutting-edge potentials to be actualized in their lives. And so we talk about that. We talk about how do we do that. So here in the school, which we want to talk about for just a minute, we have created programs which young people can involve themselves with to help them in this area. Or if you're a preacher, we have programs which can help you. Nobody even has to know you're taking them because it's all online, but can help you tremendously. And when you're preaching and when you're teaching and knowing things about the Bible and having content that truly feeds spiritual nutrition to all the people who are listening to you and receiving guidance. So all of these things are part of what we're all about here. Now, to make that work, of course, it's like we can't do that work for you. We can only provide the opportunity to do that learning. You are the one that has to decide, well, I'm not going to be just mediocre, and I'm not going, regardless of what my parents were, regardless of what my generational things that I came up through were, I'm not going to be that. I am going to take responsibility for my life, and I'm going to make something out of it. And Dr. C's here's a good example of that. I mean, how long have you had the Holy Ghost?
13 years.
So he's had the Holy Ghost 13 years, and in that 13 years, he's grown tremendously because spiritual growth does not happen like physical growth. Spiritual growth is not limited to chronology. And so, you can't make yourself grow faster as a kid physically, but spiritually you can grow. And so to do that, you have to take advantage of what you're being exposed to. So we have programs. We have an AA for somebody that says, well, I just want to get my feet wet. It will help me in employment. It will help me on a job. But I just want to get started. Well, okay. It is also the open door to a BA where you actually have a bachelor's degree. You can do this. You may have never even thought about the fact you can do this, but you can do this through Wilson University. And we have other programs. But I would just, here's what I tell people. In 2 years, you're going to be 2 years older. And in 4 years, you're going to be 4 years older. You're going to be 2 years older with an AA, or you're going to be 2 years older without an AA. Or in 4 years, you're going to be 4 years older with a BA, or you're going to be 4 years older without a BA. Why not be 4 years older and have this in your life, which increases in so many ways your potentiality? Now, one more thing I want to say before we talk about anything else, and that is that when you talk about education, you are not just talking about practical things like it increases my income, which it definitely does. So, we had a girl that if she just got an AA, she got like a 10% raise, which was a significant amount of money on her job. But we're not just talking about that. We're not just talking about learning things that quantify in terms of physical benefits. There's something about you as a human being that when you know things, it changes you. When you learn things, it changes you. It gives weight, it gives gravitas to you as a human being. And so regardless of where we are in life, I can remember way back when I was thinking about these things, I thought, I'm going to do this. And some of the things I did educationally, I had no idea how I was going to use them. But I knew that after I did that, I would be stronger and I would be a better equipped person in many ways, and that those things in themselves would help open doors for me. So I want you to think about that today. Today is a day to really probe and think, what in the world am I doing with my life, and how can I better my life? Now you may say, well, I can't do college work. But here it's different because we are your friend and we help you do it. And we make sure that if you can possibly do it, you will get a chance to do it. So anyway, I want to just give you a chance to do that. We have some tremendous programs that we're starting up soon. Dr. C's, tell us a little bit about the AA and everything that's starting at our next start date, which I think the application date has to be in by June 19th. What all is there that people can access?
Yeah, certainly. So for today, June 19th, is the application deadline for our Associates of Arts program, our Bachelors of Science in Christian Ministry, as well as the AFC program and the Christian Counseling certificate that we offer here. And one thing that I do want to touch on a little bit is the importance that Dr. Wilson was talking about in terms of education. Is this isn't something that we look at as replacing the local church. This is something that comes alongside the local church in the equipping of the individual. I remember when I first got into the bachelor's program at Wilson University, one of the first things I did was talk to my pastor, and I said, look, I absolutely love it here. I'm loving this truth. I want to learn as much as I can, but I know I don't have access to you for 40 hours a week. And so is there a place that you would recommend that I go to where I can learn more about this apostolic truth that I'm passionate about? And without hesitation, he said Wilson University. And so, I want to make sure we understand that we're not talking about something that replaces the local church at all. We're talking about something that comes alongside the local church, helps build individuals up, and helps equip them. The second thing is, a lot of times when we talk about education from a Christian perspective, individuals tend to think, well, this is only applicable within the realm of the church or within the realm of ministry. But when I received my bachelor's in Christian ministry from Wilson University, I did get a promotion on the job. And I was able to begin doing other things within the consulting realm with federal government and state government because I had a bachelor's degree, even though it was in Christian ministry. And so I don't want us to think that because it's in ministry that it's limited to just the church. Mm-hmm. It also does, as you mentioned earlier, help within the realm of other areas. And so if you're interested in this June 19th today, Associates of Arts, Bachelors of Science in Christian Ministry, AFC, and the CCC. Another program that is of interest to a lot of people, especially young people, is Hope Corps. And Hope Corps for the 2023-2024 year, the first application deadline is July 24th. And so if you're interested in Hope Corps, you'll want to ensure that you go to Hope Corps' website, that's hopecorps.net, and complete their application by July 24th.
Wow. Hope Corps. If you have not been to Hope Corps, you don't even have to be a young person to go to Hope Corps. Although most people that go to Hope Corps are young adults. And Hope Corps is one of the most transforming programs. In fact, I had a non-apostolic, non-Pentecostal university president tell me of a good-sized university, a friend of mine, tell me several times, he said, in all my years in higher education, I have never seen a program like Hope Corps. And he said, I wish we had something like that. He said, that is an incredible program. So let me ask you, if you're a pastor, have you found a way for your young people to be pushed to that? I wish we could bring all the pastors in here that have young people who have went to Hope Corps. Here recently I was talking to Pastor Kenneth Godare. He is the executive chairman of our Worldwide Pentecostal Fellowship. And he was explaining to me with joy how that Hope Corps he had sent people to Hope Corps and how it had strengthened them. And when they came back, they were significantly more powerful in the local church. And there's many examples of this. I've had many pastors say, whatever Hope Corps has, I want my young people in touch with that. Because it's certainly, somebody says, well, what are you trying to do? Get them in somebody else's church. Well, whose church would we put them in? And secondly, they don't go to anybody's church. They do their coursework online, and then they go to an intensive training week in a place that most of them are in third world nations, but in a place that's out of the little world that they've lived in, exposing them to the gospel call and to the greater world. So when does Hope Corps start?
July 24th is the application deadline.
Okay, so you got to get your application in. And I would just say, if you're a parent, my Lord Jesus, with all the stuff that we are putting up with our kids today, and we have a program like Hope Corps in the Apostolic movement, which has transformed hundreds and hundreds of young people. Would to God we could give you all those testimonies. If you have young people and you don't have them in Hope Corps, you need to figure out quickly how to get them acquainted with what Hope Corps is doing. And give them that. How do you get them? How do you connect? HopeCorps.net?
HopeCorps.net. The information will be below in the notes for this session.
Yeah. If ever our young people needed help, auxiliary help, they need it now because they're exposed to everything in the world, and these courses are first class. They've got college credit for them. There's 3 courses in the Hope Corps?
4 courses.
4 courses in the Hope Corps certificate. And then they go to the ITW, of which I have taught many of them. They are so powerful. And so what about your young people? And what about the opportunities for them? And if you have any questions personally about that, you're personally welcome to contact me, and I will answer any question I can. But this is an enormous opportunity that lies before us. You also mentioned the CCC. What is the CCC?
So CCC is the Christian Counseling Certificate. this does not license someone to be a counselor, but it does assist people in counseling within the local church. And so the courses that are in there, it starts off with soteric counseling, so understanding counseling first and foremost from a spiritual perspective. Then there's also other classes in there like grief and loss, couples counseling, addiction counseling, as well as finance.
Yes, and this is an apostolic program.
Yes, sir.
The word soteric is actually a word created by apostolics from the Greek word soter, which means salvation, which in the Greek doesn't just mean Acts 2:38, it means whole deliverance, wholesome, complete, body, soul, spirit. That's the kind of counseling. This is the kind of stuff. All of our counselors are people that understand that concept and themselves have been exposed to it. And as professional counselors, this is the context in which they counsel. So this is a great opportunity. I noticed, I walked by and saw something was happening with LEAP. LEAP, Leadership Essentials and Apostolic Principles. Can you talk to us a little bit, Doctor, about LEAP?
Sure. LEAP, as you had mentioned, stands for Leadership Essentials and Apostolic Principles. This is a certificate that contains 5 classes. The 5 classes in this particular certificate are History and Literature of Ancient Israel, History and Literature of Early Christians, Pentecostalism, Theological Foundations and Worldview, and Leadership Formation. One of the interesting things about this certificate is there have been a couple churches, such as the Rock Church in Fort Myers and Brother Elder's Church in Colorado, that have used LEAP as a way of training their ministers before entering into ministry. So they've used this really as a ministry program for training up leaders in the local assembly.
So think about that. If you have people going into ministry, of course they need everything that we as pastors can give to them. Much of that's practical, much of that's biblical. But there are things that when I was pastoring for decades, there's not time to teach all of that. And still, you can't devote every church service to Bible lessons for people preparing for ministry. The people in that church need feeding 100 other things at the same time. So how do we, as Casey said, we come alongside, and LEAP helps to train your ministers with solid apostolic theological concepts to get them from getting out there in ministry and being exposed to false doctrines and so forth that they don't know anything about, and they don't have everything they would needed to be equipped for. LEAP's an incredibly important program, and fits in this area. Also, if you're just a saint of God and you want to know more about the Word of God, LEAP is for you. When does LEAP start?
The application deadline for the next enrollment in LEAP is July 31st.
Okay, so I want to encourage you. These are available to us, and they're available to you. Also, I want to mention one more thing today before we go. We have never had this before in our history. Now, we have a master's program right now in association with William Jessup University. And for the first time ever, right now, we are able, these are courses that you will get from Wilson University and other courses that you will get from William Jessup University. And together they make the master's. Right now, for the first time I ever know of, and particularly it's the first time we've had this, we can offer to you the master's degree for 40% discount off of the tuition. This makes the cost of this master's degree less than $11,000, which is unheard of. If you just want to go out and find out, you'll find master's degrees are anywhere from usually very inexpensive would be $18,000 to $75,000, $100,000. So here's an opportunity of 40% off, which reduces that to less than $11,000. And it's starting. When does it start? What's the date?
Yeah, the application deadline for the Masters of Arts and Leadership through our partnership with Jessup is August 7th. And like Bishop said, it is a 40% ministry grant for those that are in full-time ministry. And we're also able to offer a 20% grant for those that are in part-time ministry. And so it's not just available for full-time ministry, but those that are also part-time ministry as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And included in that is the Apostolic Certificate Leadership courses, which have been really a driving force for transformation of the apostolic movement.
Absolutely.
In the orbit that we have access to. And that can be quantified, that statement. And so we just wanted to talk to you about it today. You know, it's here. Why not put excellence in your life in everything you do? God bless you.